Chapter 1. The Black Gate opens. The sun was setting over Konoha, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. Most of the village was winding down, but Naruto Uzumaki was still out in the training fields, sweat dripping down his face as he threw punch after punch at a battered old log. His knuckles were raw, but he didn't care. He needed to keep moving, needed to keep pushing, because if he stopped, the silence would catch up to him. He'd just come back from a mission, a tough one, the kind where you do everything right but it still feels like you lost. The villagers had barely looked at him when he returned. Some had even whispered, eyes darting away. It was always the same. No matter how many times he saved them, no matter how hard he tried, there was always that wall, that distance. Naruto gritted his teeth and slammed his fist into the log again. "Stupid log," he muttered, but he wasn't really mad at the wood. He was mad at himself, at the village, at the world for making things so hard. He wanted to be Hokage, wanted everyone to see him, to recognize him not as the demon fox but as Naruto. He stopped panting and wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. The field was empty except for him. Sakura and Sasuke had gone home hours ago. Even Kakashi had left, giving Naruto a tired smile and a "don't stay out too late." But Naruto couldn't go home yet, not when his head was this full. He looked up at the sky, watching the last bit of sunlight fade behind the trees. The shadows stretched long and thin, creeping across the grass. For a moment, Naruto felt like they were reaching for him, trying to pull him under. He shook his head. "Man, I'm getting weird," he said, forcing a laugh, but the feeling didn't go away. Naruto picked up his jacket and slung it over his shoulder, deciding to take the long way back to the village. Maybe the walk would clear his head. He wandered through the woods, kicking at rocks and muttering to himself. The air was cool, and the only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the distant rush of the river. He was almost back to the main road when he felt it, a chill, like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water down his back. He stopped, every sense on high alert. The hairs on his arms stood up. He looked around, but there was nothing, just trees and shadows. But then he saw it. At the edge of the clearing, half hidden by the roots of an old tree, was a door. No, not a door, a gate. It was pitch black, like someone had cut a hole in the world. The edges shimmered, and the darkness inside seemed to swallow the light around it. Naruto blinked, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. It was still there. He took a cautious step forward. The air around the gate felt heavy, pressing down on his chest. He could hear his own heartbeat, loud in his ears. "What is that?" he whispered. He reached out, hands trembling. The surface of the gate rippled like water. Naruto jerked his hand back, but the gate didn't move. It just waited. Naruto glanced around. There was no one else here, no one to see if he did something stupid. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Come on, Naruto, you've faced worse than this, probably." He reached out again, this time letting his fingers brush the surface. It was cold, colder than anything he'd ever felt. For a second, nothing happened. Then the gate pulsed and a shock ran up his arm. Naruto yelped and stumbled back, landing hard on the ground. The gate shimmered, and suddenly words appeared in the air in front of him. Glowing blue letters floating just above the grass. "You have been chosen. Do you accept the trial?" Naruto stared, mouth open. "What the?" He scrambled to his feet, looking around for the source of the voice, but there was nothing. Just the gate and the words hanging in the air like some kind of weird genjutsu. "Is this some kind of prank?" he muttered, but the words didn't go away. He reached out, trying to touch them, but his hand passed right through. The letters flickered, then changed. Time remaining 00:59:59. Accept or decline. A timer started counting down. Naruto's heart pounded. He didn't know what this was, but it didn't feel like a joke. It felt real, dangerous. He thought about running, about going back to the village and telling someone, Kakashi maybe, or the Hokage, but something held him in place. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was that old, stubborn part of him that hated backing down from a challenge. He looked at the gate, at the words, at the timer ticking down. He took a deep breath. "All right," he said, voice shaking just a little. "I accept." The words vanished, the gate pulsed, and the darkness inside seemed to reach out, wrapping around him like a cold, wet blanket. Naruto tried to pull away, but it was too late. The shadows swallowed him whole. For a moment there was nothing, no light, no sound, just cold and dark and the feeling of falling. Then suddenly he was standing in a different place. The ground beneath his feet was stone, slick with something that looked like oil. The air was thick and heavy, and the only light came from torches set into the walls. The flames burned blue, casting weird, twisting shadows. Naruto looked around, heart racing. He was in some kind of dungeon, a long, narrow hallway lined with doors. The walls were covered in strange symbols and the air smelled like old blood and metal. He took a shaky step forward. The floor creaked under his weight. He could hear something moving in the darkness ahead, soft, shuffling footsteps and the low, guttural growl of something big. Naruto swallowed hard. Okay, this is officially the weirdest day ever. He reached for his kunai, hands shaking. He didn't know what was going on, but he knew one thing: he wasn't going down without a fight. A new message appeared in front of him, glowing in the air. Quest: survive the trial. Defeat all enemies, time limit 60 minutes. Rewards. Naruto stared at the message, then at the darkness ahead. He could feel something watching him, something old and hungry. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and stepped forward into the unknown. The darkness seemed to close in around him as he moved deeper into the dungeon. The air grew colder and the sounds of movement grew louder. Naruto's senses were on high alert. Every shadow looked like it might jump out at him. He passed the first door and it creaked open on its own. Naruto froze, kunai at the ready. A creature stepped out, a twisted, hulking thing with too many eyes and claws like knives. It snarled and Naruto's blood ran cold. He didn't hesitate. He charged, ducking under its swing and driving his kunai into its side. The creature howled, black blood spraying across the floor. Naruto yanked his weapon free and jumped back, heart pounding. The creature lunged, but Naruto was faster. He dodged, rolled, and came up behind it, slashing at its legs. The thing collapsed, shrieking, and Naruto finished it with a quick, brutal stab. He stood over the body, panting. The creature dissolved into shadows, leaving nothing behind. New message appeared. Enemy defeated, plus 10 XP. Naruto blinked, XP like a game. He shook his head. This was insane, but the messages kept coming. Level 1. HP 100-100. MP 50-50. Strength 10. Agility 12. Vitality 9. Intelligence 8. Sense 11. Naruto stared at the numbers, trying to make sense of them. Was this some kind of genjutsu, or had he really gone crazy? He didn't have time to think about it. More doors were opening, more creatures stepping out. Naruto gritted his teeth and got ready. He fought like he'd never fought before. The creatures were fast and strong, but Naruto was faster. He dodged, weaved, struck back with everything he had. Every time he killed one, it dissolved into shadows and the messages popped up: XP, stats, level up. He could feel himself getting stronger, faster, sharper. The pain in his arms faded, replaced by a strange, electric energy. The system was changing him, making him better. But it was also taking something. Every time he killed, he felt a little colder, a little more distant. The shadows whispered to him, promising power, promising recognition. Naruto shook his head, trying to block them out. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't the demon fox. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and he was going to survive this. He pressed on, deeper into the dungeon. The enemies got tougher, the fights more brutal. Naruto took hits, bled, but he never stopped moving. He refused to give up. The timer kept ticking down, 40 minutes left, 30, 20. Naruto was exhausted, covered in cuts and bruises. His breath came in ragged gasps, but he kept going. Finally, he reached the end of the hallway. A massive door stood before him, covered in glowing runes. The air was thick with power. A final message appeared. Boss room, enter. Naruto hesitated. He was tired, hurt, but he couldn't stop now. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was huge, lit by blue flames. In the center stood a figure, tall, cloaked in shadows, eyes glowing like embers. The figure smiled. Welcome, Naruto Uzumaki. You have done well to come this far. Naruto raised his kunai. Who are you? The figure's smile widened. I am the Shadow Monarch, and I have been waiting for you. The shadows surged forward, and Naruto was swallowed by darkness. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was back in the woods. The gate was gone, the sun had set, and the world was quiet. But something had changed. He could feel it, a cold, powerful presence inside him. The system messages were gone, but the memory lingered. Naruto stood up, brushing dirt from his clothes. He looked at his hands, half expecting them to be covered in shadows. He wasn't sure what had happened, but he knew one thing: his life would never be the same. And somewhere deep in the darkness, something ancient stirred. Chapter 2: The Trial of Shadows. Naruto's head was spinning. 1 second he'd been in the woods, staring at that freaky black gate. The next he was here, wherever here was. The air was thick and cold, and the only light came from those weird blue torches lining the stone walls. Everything smelled like old metal and something rotten, and the silence pressed in on him, heavy and suffocating. He took a shaky breath, trying to steady himself. "Okay, Naruto, you've been through worse, probably." His voice echoed down the hallway, swallowed up by the darkness. He looked around, trying to get his bearings. The place looked like something out of a nightmare: long, narrow corridors, doors set into the walls, and strange symbols carved everywhere. The floor was slick, and every step made a soft squelching sound that made his skin crawl. A message flickered in front of his eyes, glowing blue and cold. "Quest: survive the trial. Defeat all enemies, time limit 60 minutes. Rewards." Naruto stared at the words, heart pounding. A trial? What is this, some kind of sick game? He tried to remember how he'd gotten here. The gate, the words, the darkness swallowing him up. It felt like a dream, but everything was too sharp, too real. He could feel the ache in his muscles, the sting of a cut on his arm from the last fight. This was no genjutsu. He took a step forward, kunai in hand. The hallway stretched ahead, shadows flickering on the walls. He could hear something moving up ahead, soft, shuffling footsteps and the low, guttural growl of something big. Naruto's grip tightened on his weapon. He'd faced monsters before, real ones and the ones in people's hearts. He wasn't about to back down now. A door creaked open ahead of him and a creature stepped out. It was huge, hunched over, with skin like cracked stone and eyes that glowed red in the torchlight. Its mouth split open in a snarl, rows of jagged teeth glinting. Naruto didn't wait. He charged, ducking under the creature's swing and slashing at its leg. The thing howled, black blood spraying across the floor. Naruto rolled away, heart hammering in his chest. The creature lunged, claws scraping against the stone. Naruto dodged, barely feeling the wind of its attack brush his cheek. He came up behind it, driving his kunai into its back. The monster shrieked, twisting around, but Naruto was already moving, using every trick he'd learned from years of fighting just to stay alive. He finished it with a quick, brutal stab to the neck. The creature dissolved into shadows, leaving nothing behind but a cold chill. Message popped up. Enemy defeated, +10 XP. Naruto blinked. XP like a video game. He shook his head. This is nuts. He didn't have time to think about it. More doors were opening, more monsters stepping out. Naruto gritted his teeth and got ready. He fought like his life depended on it, because it did. The monsters were fast and strong, but Naruto was faster. He dodged, weaved, struck back with everything he had. Every time he killed one, it dissolved into shadows and the messages popped up: XP, stats, level up. He could feel himself getting stronger, faster, sharper. The pain in his arms faded, replaced by a strange, electric energy. The system was changing him, making him better. But it was also taking something. Every time he killed, he felt a little colder, a little more distant. The shadows whispered to him, promising power, promising recognition. Naruto shook his head, trying to block them out. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't the demon fox. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and he was going to survive this. He pressed on, deeper into the dungeon. The enemies got tougher, the fights more brutal. Naruto took hits, bled, but he never stopped moving. He refused to give up. The timer kept ticking down, 40 minutes left, 30, 20. Naruto was exhausted, covered in cuts and bruises. His breath came in ragged gasps, but he kept going. Finally, he reached the end of the hallway. A massive door stood before him, covered in glowing runes. The air was thick with power. A final message appeared. Boss room, enter. Naruto hesitated. He was tired, hurt, but he couldn't stop now. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was huge, lit by blue flames. In the center stood a figure, tall, cloaked in shadows, eyes glowing like embers. The figure smiled. Welcome, Naruto Uzumaki. You have done well to come this far. Naruto raised his kunai. Who are you? The figure's smile widened. I am the Shadow Monarch, and I have been waiting for you. The shadow surged forward, and Naruto was swallowed by darkness. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was back in the woods. The gate was gone, the sun had set, and the world was quiet. But something had changed. He could feel it, a cold, powerful presence inside him. The system messages were gone, but the memory lingered. Naruto stood up, brushing dirt from his clothes. He looked at his hands, half expecting them to be covered in shadows. He wasn't sure what had happened, but he knew one thing: his life would never be the same. And somewhere deep in the darkness, something ancient stirred. Chapter 3: Awakening the Monarch. Naruto woke up gasping for air, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it might punch a hole through his chest. For a second he didn't know where he was. The world spun, blurry and cold, and he could still feel the echo of darkness clutching at his skin. He blinked, trying to focus, and realized he was lying on his back in the woods, the early morning sun filtering through the leaves above. He sat up slowly, every muscle aching. His clothes were torn and dirty, and his hands were covered in dried blood, some of it his, some of it not. He flexed his fingers, half expecting them to dissolve into shadows. They didn't, but something was different. He could feel it, like a low hum under his skin, a cold energy that hadn't been there before. Naruto looked down and froze. Black marks, thin as spiderwebs, curled around his wrists and crept up his arms, disappearing under his sleeves. He yanked his jacket off, panic rising in his chest, and saw the marks winding across his chest and shoulders, pulsing faintly with a dark light. "What the hell?" he whispered, voice shaking. He scrambled to his feet, swaying a little. The world felt sharper, more real, like someone had turned up the contrast on everything. He could hear the wind in the trees, the distant rush of the river, even the heartbeat of a rabbit hiding in the bushes nearby. It was overwhelming. A blue screen flickered into existence in front of his eyes, making him jump. Status window. Name Naruto Uzumaki. Level 3. HP 121-20. MP 80-80. Strength 14. Agility 16. Vitality 12. Intelligence. Sense 15. Skills: Shadow Extraction locked, Shadow Storage locked. Quest. Main: survive and grow stronger. Side. Inventory empty. Naruto stared at the screen, mouth open. No way, this is just like in the dungeon. He reached out, trying to touch the words, but his hand passed right through. The screen faded, replaced by another message. You have awakened as the Shadow Monarch's successor. New abilities unlocked. Further growth required to access full power. He stumbled back, shaking his head. No, this can't be real. I'm just tired. I'm dreaming, right? But the marks on his skin were still there, and the cold energy thrummed in his veins. He tried to remember what had happened in the dungeon. The monsters, the fighting, the voice in the darkness. The Shadow Monarch. Naruto shivered, hugging himself. He survived, but at what cost? A branch snapped behind him, and Naruto spun around, kunai in hand, before he even realized he'd moved. His reflexes felt sharper, faster. He could see every detail, the way the sunlight glinted off the blade, the tiny flecks of dirt on the ground. Sakura stepped into the clearing, eyes wide. Naruto, there you are. We've been looking everywhere for you. Are you okay? Naruto tried to hide his hands, pulling his sleeves down. Yeah, I'm fine, just got lost, I guess. Sakura frowned, not buying it. You look awful. What happened to you? Naruto forced a grin. You should see the other guy. She rolled her eyes, but there was worry in her gaze. Come on, let's get back to the village. Kakashi-sensei is going to freak. Naruto hesitated, glancing down at the marks on his arms. Yeah, okay. They walked in silence, the tension thick between them. Naruto kept his hands shoved in his pockets, trying not to think about the cold energy swirling inside him. Every step felt wrong, like he was wearing someone else's skin. As they reached the edge of the village, Naruto could feel the stares. People whispered, eyes darting away when he looked at them. He tried to ignore it, but it stung. It always stung. Kakashi was waiting by the gate, arms crossed. He looked Naruto up and down, one eyebrow raised. Rough night. Naruto shrugged. You could say that. Kakashi's gaze lingered on Naruto's hands, but he didn't say anything. Go get cleaned up. We've got a mission in an hour. Naruto nodded and hurried off, relief and dread mixing in his chest. He ducked into his apartment, locking the door behind him. He peeled off his clothes and stared at the marks in the bathroom mirror. They looked like tattoos, but they pulsed with a life of their own, shifting and twisting under his skin. He splashed cold water on his face, trying to calm down. Get it together, Naruto. You can handle this. You always do. But the fear wouldn't go away. What if he was turning into a monster? What if the darkness inside him took over, like the Nine Tails had almost done so many times before? A new message appeared in the mirror, making him jump. Shadow Extraction skill unlocked. Use on fallen enemies to create shadows. Naruto stared at the words, heart pounding. No way, that's insane. He shook his head, trying to clear it. He didn't have time to freak out. He had a mission. The mission was supposed to be simple: escort a merchant caravan through the forest. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke moved through the trees, alert but relaxed. Kakashi brought up the rear, reading his book as usual. Naruto tried to focus, but the cold energy inside him kept distracting him. Every sound was too loud, every movement too sharp. He could feel the darkness swirling just beneath his skin, hungry and restless. They were halfway through the forest when the ambush hit. Bandits dropped from the trees, weapons flashing. The merchant screamed and chaos erupted. Naruto moved on instinct, faster than he'd ever been. He dodged a sword swing, ducked under a punch, and lashed out with a kick that sent a bandit flying. The world slowed down, every detail crystal clear. He saw Sasuke fighting off two attackers, sharing and spinning. Sakura was protecting the merchant, kunai flashing. Kakashi was already moving, a blur of motion. Naruto took down another bandit, his kunai slicing through the man's defenses. The bandit fell, blood pooling beneath him. And then it happened. A cold voice whispered in Naruto's mind, "Use it." He stared at the fallen bandit, the marks on his arms burning. A blue screen appeared. Shadow extraction available, use skill, YN. Naruto's breath caught. He didn't know what would happen, but the urge was overwhelming. He reached out, almost without thinking, and touched the bandit's chest. The world went silent. Shadows pooled around the body, swirling and twisting. The bandit's eyes snapped open, now glowing blue. He rose to his feet, silent and still, waiting for Naruto's command. Naruto stumbled back, heart racing. No way, no freaking way. Sasuke turned, eyes wide. What did you just do? Naruto shook his head, panic rising. I don't know. The shadow bandit moved, stepping between Naruto and another attacker. It fought with inhuman speed, cutting down the enemy in seconds. Naruto stared, horrified and fascinated. He could feel the connection, like a thread of cold energy tying him to the shadow. It waited for his orders, silent and loyal. The fight ended quickly after that. The remaining bandits fled, terrified by the sight of the shadow warrior. When it was over, Naruto dismissed the shadow and it dissolved into mist. He dropped to his knees, shaking. Sakura rushed over. Naruto, are you okay? He nodded, but he didn't believe it. He could still feel the darkness inside him, hungry and restless. Kakashi knelt beside him, voice gentle. What happened out there? Naruto looked at his hands, the marks pulsing with dark light. I don't know, I think I'm changing. Kakashi put a hand on his shoulder. Whatever it is, you're still you, remember that. Naruto nodded, but the fear lingered. What if he lost control? What if he became a monster? He looked up at the sky, the sun shining through the trees. For a moment, he let himself hope. Maybe he could control this power. Maybe he could use it to protect the people he cared about. But deep down, the darkness whispered, promising power, promising recognition. And Naruto knew his fight was only just beginning. Chapter 4, Shadows in the Leaf. Naruto tried to act normal. That was the plan anyway. He woke up early, scarfed down a bowl of instant ramen, and headed out to the training grounds with Team 7 like nothing had changed. But everything had changed, and he could feel it in every step, every breath, every glance from the people around him. The marks on his arms were hidden under his jacket, but he could still feel them pulsing, a cold reminder of what he'd become. The system's blue screens popped up at the worst times, when he was brushing his teeth, when he was tying his sandals, even when he was just trying to zone out and watch the clouds. Daily quest, complete team training. Reward, +1 agility, +1 vitality. Failure penalty quest. Naruto gritted his teeth and swiped the message away. He didn't need this right now. He just needed to get through the day without anyone noticing he was different. Sasuke and Sakura were already waiting at the field, bickering about something. Kakashi was, as usual, nowhere to be seen. Sakura waved when she saw Naruto. Hey, you look better today. Naruto forced a grin. Yeah, I got some sleep, ready for another day of getting yelled at by Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke snorted, if he ever shows up. Naruto laughed, but it felt hollow. He kept his hands in his pockets, trying not to fidget. The cold energy inside him was restless, swirling just beneath the surface. Kakashi finally arrived, book in hand, eye crinkling in that lazy smile. Good morning, everyone. Today's mission is a simple patrol. Try not to cause any trouble. Naruto nodded, doing his best to look eager. Inside, he was a mess. Every time he blinked, he saw the system's interface, stats, quests, inventory. It was like having a second set of eyes, always watching, always judging. They moved through the village, checking the usual spots. Naruto tried to focus on the mission, but the system wouldn't leave him alone. Side quest, prevent civilian injury. Reward +5 XP. He spotted a little kid chasing a ball into the street, a cart barreling toward him. Naruto moved without thinking, shadows flickering at his feet. He reached the kid in a split second, yanking him out of the way just as the cart rolled past. The kid stared up at him, wide-eyed. Whoa, you're fast, mister. Naruto ruffled the kid's hair, forcing a smile. just paying attention, that's all. Quest complete plus 5 XP, agility increased by 1. Naruto felt a rush of energy like a shot of adrenaline. He shook it off, glancing around to make sure no one had seen the shadows. Sasuke was watching him, eyes narrowed. "You've gone faster," Sasuke said, voice low. Naruto shrugged, guess all that training paid off. Sakura smiled, "You're always pushing yourself, Naruto, it's kind of inspiring." Naruto looked away, embarrassed, if only she knew. The rest of the patrol was uneventful, but Naruto couldn't relax. Every time they passed a dark alley or a shadowy corner, he felt the power inside him stir, hungry and eager. He clenched his fists, willing it to stay down. After patrol, Kakashi led them to the training field for sparring. Naruto tried to keep things normal, but the system kept interfering. Pop-up quest: win a sparring match. Reward plus 10 XP plus 1 strength. He faced Sasuke, who was as sharp and intense as ever. The match was fast and brutal, both of them moving at speeds that left Sakura gaping. Naruto felt the shadows at his feet, ready to help, but he forced them down, determined to win on his own. Sasuke landed a hit, knocking Naruto back. "You're holding back," he said, eyes narrowed. Naruto wiped blood from his lip and grinned, "Just packing myself." He pushed harder, using his new speed and agility, but not the shadows. The match ended in a draw, both of them panting and grinning despite themselves. Quest complete plus 10 XP, strength increased by 1. Naruto felt the system's reward, a subtle boost of energy. He tried to hide his satisfaction, but Sasuke was watching him closely. After training, they were assigned an escort mission for a group of merchants traveling to the next town. It was supposed to be easy, but Naruto was on edge the whole time. Halfway through the journey, bandits attacked. Naruto reacted instantly, shadows flickering at his feet. He moved faster than he ever had, intercepting a blade meant for Sakura. The shadow energy surged, and for a split second, a dark shape rose up behind him, blocking the attack. Sakura gasped, "What was that?" Naruto forced a laugh, "Just lucky, I guess." Sasuke wasn't convinced. He watched Naruto with sharp, suspicious eyes. The fight escalated. Naruto saw a bandit sneaking up behind Sasuke and with a subtle gesture sent a shadow darting across the ground. The shadow tripped the bandit, giving Sasuke the opening to take him down. Sasuke glanced at Naruto, frowning, but said nothing. Kakashi was everywhere at once, but Naruto noticed his sensei's gaze lingering on him, as if he was trying to figure out a puzzle. The merchants were grateful, but Naruto could feel the tension in the air. Sasuke and Sakura kept glancing at him, and even Kakashi seemed more alert than usual. After the mission, they regrouped at the training field. Kakashi called them over, his tone more serious than usual. "Good work today, everyone, but Naruto, can I talk to you for a minute?" Naruto's stomach dropped. Sure." Kakashi waited until the others were out of earshot. "You've been different lately, faster, stronger, and that thing during the fight, wanna tell me what's going on?" Naruto looked down, struggling to find the words. "I don't know, I guess I've been training harder." Kakashi didn't look convinced. "If something's wrong, you can tell me. You're not alone, Naruto." Naruto nodded, but he couldn't bring himself to say more, not yet. As he walked home that night, the system popped up again. Main quest updated, control the shadows within. Failure. Naruto stared at the message, fear and determination warring inside him. He didn't know what was happening to him, but he knew one thing: he couldn't let the darkness win. He wandered the village, lost in thought. The moon was high, casting long shadows across the rooftops. Naruto paused on a bridge, watching the water flow beneath him. He remembered the loneliness of his childhood, the way people had looked at him like he was something dangerous. He promised himself he'd never let that darkness win. But now the darkness was inside him, whispering promises of power and recognition. Naruto clenched his fists, fighting the urge to let it out. He heard footsteps behind him. Sasuke stood there, arms crossed. "You're hiding something," Sasuke said quietly. Naruto looked away. "I'm just tired." Sasuke didn't push, but his eyes were sharp. "Don't let it eat you alive, Dobi." Naruto managed a weak smile. "Wouldn't dream of it, team." They stood in silence for a while, the tension between them thick but not unfriendly. Naruto felt a little better, knowing he wasn't completely alone. He headed home, the system's messages still flickering at the edge of his vision. Stat increase, willpower plus 1. Naruto smiled to himself. Maybe he could control this power. Maybe he could use it to protect the people he cared about. But deep down, the darkness whispered, promising power, promising recognition. and Naruto knew his fight was only just beginning. And somewhere in the shadows, something watched, waiting for him to slip. Chapter 5, The Price of Power. Naruto woke before dawn, the sky still dark and the village silent. He couldn't sleep, not with the cold energy pooling under his skin, not with the system's messages flickering at the edge of his vision. He slipped out of his apartment and headed for the training grounds, determined to figure out what he was becoming. He started with the basics, kunai throws, taijutsu drills, the same routines he'd done 1,000 times, but everything felt different. He was faster, stronger, sharper. The marks on his arms glowed faintly in the pre-dawn light, and every movement left a trail of shadow that faded as soon as he noticed it. Daily quest: train for 2 hours. Reward: +1 strength, +1 agility. Naruto grinned, pushing himself harder. He ran laps around the field, leaping over logs and dodging imaginary enemies. He practiced his clones, but now when he focused, the shadows responded too. He tried to shape them to make them obey, but they slipped through his fingers, wild and unpredictable. He paused, panting, and stared at his hands. "Come on," he muttered, "work with me." He concentrated, reaching for the cold energy inside him. A shadow flickered at his feet, rising up in a vague, human shape. Naruto's heart pounded. He tried to give it form to make it move, but it collapsed into mist. Skill: shadow extraction incomplete. Insufficient MP. Naruto wiped sweat from his brow. "Guess I'm not there yet." He kept at it, pushing himself until his muscles burned and his breath came in ragged gasps. The system kept track, rewarding him for every milestone. Stat increase: vitality +1. Skill progress: shadow storage 12%. But the more he used the power, the heavier he felt. His head ached and his vision blurred at the edges. The system flashed a warning. Warning: overuse detected. Risk of physical collapse. Naruto ignored it. He couldn't stop now, not when he was so close to understanding. He tried again, pouring everything he had into the shadows. This time, a shape formed: a wolf, sleek and dark, eyes glowing blue. It stood for a moment, then dissolved. Naruto staggered, dropping to one knee. His heart raced and his skin felt cold and clammy. He remembered the way people had looked at him as a kid, the fear, the suspicion. He promised himself he'd never let the darkness win, but now it was inside him, whispering in a voice that wasn't his. "You could be so much more," the voice murmured, deep and smooth. "You could have power, recognition, respect. All you have to do is let go." Naruto shook his head, clutching his chest. "No, I'm not a monster, I'm not." "You're already changing," the voice said, almost gentle. "Why fight it?" He thought of Kurama, the Nine Tails, and the years he'd spent fighting that influence. He remembered Uruka's kindness, Kakashi's patience, Sakura's smile, and even Sasuke's grudging respect. He wasn't alone, not anymore. Naruto forced himself to his feet, swaying. "I won't let you win, I'm still me, I'm still Naruto." The voice faded, but the cold lingered. He stumbled through the rest of his training, pushing himself past the point of exhaustion. The system kept warning him, but he ignored it. Warning: MP critically low, physical collapse imminent. Naruto tried to summon one last shadow, but the world spun. He dropped to his knees, vision swimming. The marks on his arms burned and the darkness surged up, swallowing him whole. He collapsed face first in the grass, the world fading to black. In the darkness, the shadow monarch waited, eyes glowing like embers. "You can't run from what you are," the monarch whispered, "but you can choose what you become." Naruto floated in the void, haunted by visions of shadows and power, of friends turning away, of becoming the very thing he feared. But even in the darkness, a spark of hope remained. Naruto clung to it, refusing to let go. He would not be a monster, he would not lose himself. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and he would find a way to control the darkness or die trying. But the day wasn't over. When Naruto finally woke, the sun was high and the training field was empty. His body ached all over and his head throbbed with a dull, persistent pain. He sat up slowly, blinking against the harsh light. He checked his arms. The marks were still there, pulsing faintly, but he felt weaker than before. The system's interface flickered into view. Status: fatigued, MP 280, HP 34-120. Warning: overuse of shadow abilities can result in permanent damage. Naruto groaned, dragging himself to his feet. He stumbled to the river and splashed cold water on his face, trying to clear the fog from his mind. He remembered the monarch's voice, the temptation, the fear. He wandered back toward the village, moving slowly. Every step was a reminder of how much the power cost him. He passed a group of kids playing ninja, their laughter echoing through the streets. For a moment, he envied their innocence. He stopped by Ikaraku Ramen, hoping a hot meal would help. Chuchai greeted him with a smile, but Naruto could see the concern in his eyes. "You look beat, kid, everything all right?" Naruto forced a grin. "Just training too hard, old man." Chuchai handed him a steaming bowl. "Don't push yourself too much, even heroes need to rest." Naruto nodded, slurping the noodles. The warmth helped, but the cold inside him didn't go away. After lunch, he wandered the village, watching people go about their day. He saw Sakura helping at the hospital, Sasuke training alone, Kakashi reading on a rooftop. He wanted to join them to be normal, but the darkness inside him kept him apart. He found himself at the old playground, the one where he used to sit alone as a kid. He remembered the loneliness, the way people had avoided him. He promised himself he'd never go back to that place, but now he was more isolated than ever. The system popped up again. Main quest: Master the Shadows. Progress 18%. Warning: emotional instability detected. Recommend rest. Naruto laughed bitterly. Even the system thinks I'm a mess. He sat on the swing, letting the memories wash over him. He remembered Uruka's smile, the first time someone had believed in him. He remembered the pain of losing his parents, the years of being an outcast. He remembered the promise he'd made to never give up, no matter what. The Monarch's voice returned, softer this time. "You're strong, Naruto, stronger than you know, but strength comes at a price. Are you willing to pay it?" Naruto closed his eyes, gripping the chains of the swing. "I don't know, but I have to try." The voice faded, leaving only the sound of the wind in the trees. As the sun set, Naruto dragged himself home. He collapsed on his bed, too tired to move. The system's final message flickered before his eyes. Rest mode activated, recovery in progress. Naruto drifted into sleep, haunted by visions of shadows and the Monarch's glowing eyes. But even in the darkness, he held on to hope. He would not let the power consume him. He would find a way to control it, to use it for good. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and his story was far from over. Chapter 6: The First Gate Crisis. It started as a normal morning in Konoha. The market was bustling, vendors shouting over each other, kids darting between stalls, and shinobi on patrol. Naruto was just finishing breakfast at Ikaraku, savoring the last bite of ramen when the world changed. A low, grinding rumble rolled through the village, rattling windows and sending birds screeching into the sky. Naruto froze, chopsticks halfway to his mouth as the system's interface flickered to life in front of his eyes. Warning: gate detected. Location: Konoha Market District. Threat level high. Quest: protect the village. Reward. He barely registered Chuchai's worried shout as he bolted from the stall, the cold energy inside him already stirring. As he sprinted through the streets, the panic built: shouts, screams, the distant clash of metal, and the roar of something inhuman. He rounded a corner and saw it. A massive, swirling black gate had opened in the heart of the market, right where the food stalls and shops were busiest. Shadows poured from the rift, twisting and writhing, and from their depths emerged monsters, hulking beasts with claws like swords and eyes that burned with hunger. Civilians ran in every direction, some tripping and falling, others frozen in terror. Shinobi were already on the scene, trying to hold the line, but the monsters were too many, too strong. Naruto's blood ran cold as he watched a group of children cornered by a snarling beast, their screams piercing the chaos. He hesitated, the old fear rising in his chest. If he used his powers, everyone would see. They'd know what he was, but if he didn't. A memory flashed through his mind: Uruka's smile, Kakashi's words, the promise he'd made to himself. He couldn't let fear win, not now. Naruto clenched his fists, feeling the marks on his arms burn with cold fire. He stepped forward, shadows swirling at his feet. Quest updated: use Shadow Army to protect civilians. He took a deep breath and let the power flow. The world slowed, every detail sharp and clear. He reached for the darkness inside him, and it answered. Shadow extraction, he shouted, slamming his hand to the ground. Shadows erupted from beneath him, swirling and coalescing into shapes: warriors, wolves, beasts of every kind, all with eyes glowing blue. The nearest monster lunged for the children. Naruto pointed, and a shadow wolf leapt, tackling the beast and tearing it away from the kids. The children stared wide-eyed as the wolf turned and bowed its head to Naruto, waiting for his next command. Naruto moved through the chaos, directing his shadows with a thought. They fought alongside the shinobi, cutting down monsters and shielding civilians. For every beast that fell, Naruto extracted another shadow, adding to his growing army. The villagers watched in awe and fear. Some cheered, others shrank back, whispering about the darkness at Naruto's command. He saw the looks, some grateful, some terrified, but he pushed the feelings aside. He had a job to do. A massive ogre burst from the gate, swinging a club the size of a tree. Naruto's shadows swarmed it, but the beast shrugged them off, roaring in fury. Naruto gritted his teeth and charged, his own shadow rising up behind him like a cloak. He dodged the ogre's swing, sliding under its legs and slashing at its ankles. The beast stumbled, and Naruto's shadows pounced, dragging it to the ground. Naruto leapt onto its back, driving his kunai into its neck. The ogre howled, then dissolved into mist. Boss defeated, plus 100 XP, shadow extraction available. Naruto hesitated, then pressed his hand to the ground. The ogre's shadow rose, towering over the battlefield, and bowed to him. The tide turned. With the ogre's shadow leading the charge, the monsters were driven back, one by one. The shinobi rallied, fighting alongside Naruto's army. The villagers watched, torn between hope and fear. But the battle wasn't over. More monsters poured from the gate, spiders the size of horses, lizard-like beasts with razor teeth, and a hulking centipede that smashed through a row of stalls. Naruto's shadows met them head-on, but the strain was immense. Sweat poured down his face, and his vision blurred at the edges. Warning: MP dropping rapidly, risk of collapse. He ignored the warning, pushing himself harder. He saw Sakura and Ino helping wounded civilians, Sasuke fighting off a pack of monsters with his Chidori, and Kakashi weaving through the chaos, his Sharingan spinning. Naruto's internal conflict raged. Every time he used the shadows, the cold inside him grew. He could feel the villagers' fear, the way some of them flinched when he passed. Was he saving them or just making them more afraid? A monster broke through the line, heading straight for a group of elders. Naruto sent a shadow warrior to intercept, but the beast was too fast. Without thinking, Naruto threw himself in front of them, shadows exploding from his body and forming a shield. The monster's claws raked across the darkness, but didn't break through. The elders stared at him, eyes wide with terror and awe. Naruto forced a smile, but inside he was shaking. Quest complete, save 10 civilians, plus 50 XP, stat increase, willpower plus 1. He felt the system's reward, a brief surge of energy, but it wasn't enough to chase away the exhaustion. The gate pulsed and a new monster emerged, a giant, armored serpent with eyes like burning coals. It roared, sending a shockwave through the square. Naruto's shadows faltered, and for a moment he thought he might lose control. He remembered the monarch's voice, cold and tempting. Let go, use all of it, show them your power. Naruto gritted his teeth. No, I'll do this my way. He called every shadow he had, sending them at the serpent. The battle was brutal, shadows torn apart, monsters shrieking, villagers screaming. Naruto fought at the center, directing his army, pushing himself past his limits. Kakashi appeared at his side, panting. Naruto, you can't keep this up. Naruto shook his head. I have to. If I stop, people die. The Hokage arrived, flanked by Anbu. She took in the scene, the monsters, the shadows, the villagers, and her eyes settled on Naruto. For a moment no one spoke, then a child stepped forward, the same one Naruto had saved, and hugged his leg. Thank you, Naruto, the boy whispered. The crowd murmured, some voices grateful, others fearful. Naruto stood tall, shadows swirling at his feet, and met the Hokage's gaze. She nodded, her expression unreadable. We'll talk later, for now, thank you. The gate began to shrink, the shadows swirling back into the rift. Naruto dismissed his army, the shadows dissolving into mist. He dropped to one knee, exhausted but relieved. The silence was deafening. People stared, some in awe, others in terror. Naruto felt the weight of their eyes, the old fear creeping back in. Kakashi knelt beside him, voice gentle. You did good, Naruto. Naruto looked down at his hands, the marks glowing faintly. I had to help. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing, he wouldn't hide anymore. And somewhere deep in the darkness, the monarch smiled. Chapter 7, Shadows and Bonds. The village was quiet in the aftermath of the attack, but it wasn't the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the kind that pressed in on you, heavy and cold, like the whole world was holding its breath. Naruto felt it everywhere he went, the way people glanced at him, the way conversations stopped when he walked by, the way even the air seemed to shift around him. He wandered the streets, hands shoved deep in his pockets, hood pulled low over his face. The marks on his arms were hidden, but he could still feel them pulsing, a cold reminder of what he'd done. He'd saved the village, but at what cost? He passed a group of villagers huddled near a shop. They fell silent as he approached, eyes wide and wary. One of them, a woman he recognized from the market, pulled her child closer, whispering something Naruto couldn't quite hear. He kept his head down and walked faster. The system's interface flickered at the edge of his vision, but he ignored it. He didn't want to see quests or stats or anything that reminded him of the shadows. He made his way to the training grounds, hoping the familiar routine would help. But even there, things were different. Sasuke was already there, practicing with a kunai, his movements sharp and precise. He didn't look up as Naruto approached. Naruto hesitated, then forced a smile. "Hey Sasuke, you here to blow off some steam too?" Sasuke didn't answer right away. He finished his set, then turned, eyes narrowed. "You were different yesterday during the attack." Naruto shrugged, trying to play it cool. Had to do something right. Sasuke's gaze was sharp, almost accusing. "You used something new, that shadow stuff. Where did you get it?" Naruto looked away. "I don't know, it just happened." Sasuke tossed his kunai, catching it by the blade. "You're hiding something, you always do." Naruto bristled. "I'm not hiding anything, I don't know how to explain it." Sasuke's eyes flashed with something, jealousy maybe, or curiosity. "Whatever it is, you'd better get it under control. People are scared." Naruto flinched. "I know." Sasuke turned away, resuming his training. Naruto watched him for a moment, then left, the weight of Sasuke's words heavy on his shoulders. He found Sakura at the hospital, helping tend to the wounded. She looked up as he entered, her expression a mix of relief and something else, fear, maybe, or confusion. "Hey Naruto," she said, voice soft. "Hey," he replied, trying to sound normal. She hesitated, then set down her clipboard. "Are you okay after everything that happened?" Naruto forced a smile. "I'm fine, just tired." Sakura bit her lip. "People are talking, they're scared, they don't understand what you did." Naruto's smile faded. "I don't really understand it either." She reached out, then pulled her hand back. "Just be careful, okay?" Naruto nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "Yeah, I will." He left the hospital feeling more alone than ever. The village he'd fought so hard to protect was turning away from him, and even his friends didn't know what to say. He wandered the streets, lost in thought. The system popped up again. Main quest: Endure the Shadows. Progress 22%. Naruto ignored it, shoving his hands deeper into his pockets. He ended up at the old playground, the one where he used to sit alone as a kid. He sat on the swing, letting the memories wash over him. He remembered the loneliness, the way people had avoided him, the way he'd promised himself he'd never go back to that place. But now he was more isolated than ever. A soft voice broke through his thoughts. "Naruto." He looked up to see Hinata standing a few feet away, hands clasped in front of her, eyes wide with concern. "Hey Hinata," he said, managing a weak smile. She hesitated, then sat on the swing next to him. "I saw what you did during the attack." Naruto tensed, waiting for the fear, the accusation, but Hinata just looked at him, her gaze steady and kind. "You saved a lot of people," she said quietly. Naruto looked away. "I scared them too." Hinata shook her head. "Maybe, but you also gave them hope. You were brave." Naruto felt something loosen in his chest. "Thanks Hinata, that means a lot." She smiled, shy but genuine. "If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Naruto nodded, gratitude swelling in his chest. "Thanks." They sat in silence for a while, the sun setting behind the trees. For the first time all day, Naruto felt a little less alone. As the sky darkened, he made his way to Ikaraku, hopping for a quiet meal. But as he approached, he saw Uruka waiting outside, arms crossed, a worried look on his face. "Hey Naruto," Uruka said, voice gentle. "Hey Uruka-sensei." Uruka studied him for a moment, then pulled him into a hug. "I heard what happened. I'm proud of you." Naruto blinked, caught off guard. "Even after everything?" Uruka nodded. "You did what you had to do. You protected the village, that's what matters." Naruto swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "Thanks, Uruka-sensei." Uruka ruffled his hair. "You're not alone, Naruto, remember that." They went inside and Chuchai served up 2 bowls of ramen, extra pork for Naruto. The warmth of the food, the comfort of Uruka's presence eased the ache in Naruto's chest. As they ate, Uruka listened while Naruto talked about the shadows, the fear, the pressure. Uruka didn't judge, didn't flinch, he just listened, offering quiet support. When Naruto finally left, the village felt a little less cold. He walked home under the stars, the system's interface flickering softly. Quest complete: Endure the Shadows, plus 100 XP, stat increase, willpower plus 2. New quest: Rebuild Trust. Naruto smiled to himself. He wasn't alone, not really. He still had friends, he still had hope. And as he drifted off to sleep that night, the darkness inside him felt just a little bit lighter. Chapter 8, The Monarch's Legacy. Naruto woke to the sound of rain tapping against his window, the sky outside a dull gray. He lay in bed for a while, staring at the ceiling, the events of the past few days swirling in his mind. The village was still uneasy, and so was he. The shadows inside him felt heavier, more restless, like they were waiting for something. The system's interface flickered to life as soon as he sat up. Main quest: uncover the Monarch's legacy. Objective: investigate the origins of your powers. Seek out clues in Konoha and beyond. Reward: Naruto frowned, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Legacy, huh? He'd never thought of himself as someone with a legacy. He was just Naruto, loud, stubborn, always chasing after something. But now he was something more, and he needed answers. He got dressed, pulling his jacket tight around him, and slipped out into the rain. The village was quieter than usual, people moving quickly from place to place, avoiding his gaze. Naruto ignored the stairs and headed for the library. If there were answers, maybe they were buried in old scrolls and forgotten stories. The librarian, an old man with thick glasses, barely looked up as Naruto entered. Naruto made his way to the back, searching for anything on ancient powers, shadow techniques, or strange gates. He found a few dusty scrolls, most of them filled with legends and half-remembered tales. He unrolled one, squinting at the faded ink. In the time before the villages, there were those who walked between worlds. They commanded shadows, bent the darkness to their will. Some called them monarchs, others called them monsters. Naruto's heart pounded. Monarchs, the word echoed in his mind. He read on, piecing together fragments of stories, warriors who could summon armies from the darkness, gates that opened to other worlds, battles that shook the earth. Most of it sounded like fairy tales, but Naruto knew better now. The system chimed again. Quest progress 12%. Hint: seek out the oldest places in Konoha. Naruto left the library and wandered the village, following a feeling more than anything else. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still heavy, the air thick with the promise of more storms. He found himself at the old shrine on the edge of town, a place he'd only visited once or twice as a kid. The stones were worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain, and the air felt different here, older, heavier. He knelt, touching the cold stone, and the world shifted. Suddenly he was somewhere else, a place of endless darkness, broken only by flickers of blue light. He saw a figure standing in the shadows, tall and lean, eyes glowing like embers. The figure turned, and Naruto felt a jolt of recognition. He'd seen this man before, in his dreams, in the moments between waking and sleep. Sangjinwoo, Naruto whispered. The figure smiled, sad and proud all at once. You're not alone, Naruto. The power you carry is ancient, but it's also new. You can shape it. You can choose what it becomes. Naruto tried to speak, but the vision shifted. He saw flashes of other monarchs, some human, some not, each one wielding shadows, each one facing their own battles. He saw gates opening, worlds colliding, armies clashing in the darkness. He saw himself standing at the center of it all, shadows swirling at his feet. The vision faded, and Naruto found himself back at the shrine, heart racing. Quest progress 44%. New objective: seek out the source of the gates. Naruto stood, brushing dirt from his knees. He felt different, stronger, but also more afraid. The power inside him was bigger than he'd realized, and he wasn't sure he was ready for it. He made his way to the Hokage's office, hoping Tsunade might have answers. She listened as he explained what he'd found, her expression growing more serious with every word. There have always been stories about the gates, she said, fingers steepled under her chin. But no one ever thought they were real. If what you're saying is true, we need to be ready. There could be more of them, more monarchs. Naruto nodded, determination hardening in his chest. I'll figure it out. I'll get stronger. I won't let the village get hurt again. Tsunade smiled just a little. I know you won't. Naruto left the office, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He wandered the village, lost in thought, the system's interface flickering with new messages. Side quest: investigate the Uchiha archives. Reward: he found Sasuke training alone, lightning crackling around his hands. Naruto hesitated, then approached. Hey Sasuke, you ever hear of monarchs? Sasuke glanced at him, eyes sharp. You mean those legends? Why? Naruto shrugged, just trying to figure some stuff out. Sasuke studied him for a moment, then nodded. Be careful, Naruto. Power like that, it changes people. Naruto smiled, a little sad. Yeah, I know. He made his way to the Uchiha compound, slipping into the archives. The place was dark and silent, the air thick with dust and memories. He found a scroll tucked away in the back, its seal broken and faded. He unrolled it, heart pounding. The monarchs are not of this world. They come from beyond the gates, bringing with them armies of shadow and power beyond measure. Some seek to rule, others to destroy. Only those strong enough to master the darkness can hope to stand against them. Naruto shivered. The vision from the shrine echoed in his mind, gates opening, monarchs clashing, worlds on the brink. He left the archives, the weight of what he'd learned pressing down on him. The system chimed again. Quest progress 78%. Final objective, face the truth at the Valley of the End. Naruto set out at dawn, the sky streaked with gold and gray. The Valley of the End was quiet, the statues of Hashirama and Madara looming over the river. Naruto stood at the water's edge, the system's interface flickering. He closed his eyes, reaching for the power inside him. The world shifted, and he was back in the darkness, surrounded by monarchs, Sung Jinwoo, others he didn't recognize, all watching him. A voice echoed in the void, "You are not the first, and you will not be the last. The gates are opening, the monarchs are gathering, the world will change." Naruto opened his eyes, resolve burning in his chest. He understood now. The power he carried was part of something bigger, something ancient and dangerous, but it was also his to shape. He would master it, he would protect his village, he would not let the darkness win. As he made his way back to Konoha, the system's final message appeared. Quest complete, uncover the monarch's legacy, plus 200 XP, new skill unlocked, Shadow Command. New main quest, prepare for the coming war. Naruto smiled, hope and determination warring in his chest. He wasn't alone, not anymore. And as the sun rose over the village, he knew he was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 9, Shadows of Rivalry. Naruto barely had time to catch his breath after his latest quest before he found Sasuke waiting for him at the edge of the training grounds. The sky was overcast, the air thick with the promise of rain, and the tension between them was almost electric. Sasuke stood with his arms crossed, eyes sharp and cold. "We need to talk." Naruto tried to play it cool, but his heart was pounding. About what? Sasuke's gaze didn't waver. "Don't play dumb, you know exactly what. The shadows, the monsters, the way you fought during the attack. What are you hiding?" Naruto looked away, shoving his hands in his pockets. "It's complicated." Sasuke's jaw tightened. "Try me." Naruto hesitated, searching for the right words. How could he explain the system, the monarchs, the darkness inside him? He barely understood it himself. Sasuke took a step closer, anger simmering beneath the surface. "You're different, Naruto, stronger, faster, but it's not just that, there's something else, something dark." Naruto flinched. "I'm still me." "Are you?" Sasuke's voice was low, almost a whisper. "Because I'm not sure anymore." Naruto felt a surge of frustration. "You think I wanted this? You think I asked for any of it?" Sasuke's eyes flashed with something, jealousy maybe, or fear. "You have power, power you don't deserve, power you can't control." Naruto bristled. "You don't know what you're talking about." Sasuke's fists clenched. "Then show me." For a moment they just stared at each other, the weight of everything unsaid hanging between them. Then, without warning, Sasuke attacked. Naruto barely dodged the first punch, shadows flickering at his feet. Sasuke moved like lightning, sharing and spinning, every move calculated and precise. Naruto fought back, trying to hold his own without letting the shadows take over. But the system's interface kept popping up, tracking every move, every hit. Duel initiated, Sasuke Uchiha. Objective survive, optional win. Sasuke pressed the attack, forcing Naruto back. "Stop holding back," he shouted. "Fight me for real." Naruto gritted his teeth, letting the shadows rise. They swirled around him, forming shields and weapons, clashing against Sasuke's lightning and fire. The battle was fast and brutal, shadows against Sharingan, darkness against light. Naruto felt the system's influence, pushing him to use more power, to go further than he ever had before. Warning: emotional instability detected, power output increasing. Sasuke's anger boiled over. "You think you're the only one who's suffered, the only one who's lost something." Naruto lashed out, shadows whipping through the air. "You don't get it, Sasuke, this isn't what I wanted." Sasuke dodged, eyes blazing. "Then what do you want?" Naruto hesitated, the question cutting deeper than any wound. I want to protect everyone. I want to be strong enough to keep the village safe." Sasuke's expression softened just for a moment. "Then prove it." They clashed again, the ground cracking beneath their feet. Naruto's shadows met Sasuke's Chidori in a burst of light and darkness, the force of the impact sending them both flying. They landed hard, panting, bruised and battered. For a moment, neither of them moved. Sasuke was the first to get up, wiping blood from his mouth. "You're holding back, why?" Naruto pushed himself to his feet, shadows swirling at his feet. "Because if I let go, I don't know what'll happen." Sasuke's eyes narrowed. "You're scared." Naruto laughed, bitter and tired. "Yeah, I am." Sasuke looked away, jaw clenched. "I get it more than you think." Naruto blinked, surprised. "You do?" Sasuke didn't answer, but the tension in his shoulders eased just a little. The system chimed again, louder this time. Warning: power synchronization unstable, emotional state volatile. Naruto felt the darkness inside him surge, hungry and restless. He fought to keep it under control, but it was getting harder. Sasuke watched him, eyes sharp. "You're losing it." Naruto shook his head. "No, I can handle it." Sasuke stepped forward, voice low. "Let me help." Naruto hesitated, the offer unexpected. "How?" Sasuke shrugged. "We fight, we push each other, that's how we get stronger." Naruto smiled a little. "Yeah, that's how it's always been." They squared off again, this time with less anger and more understanding. The fight was different now, less about winning, more about testing each other, pushing limits. Naruto let the shadows flow, shaping them into weapons and shields. Sasuke countered with lightning and fire, his sharing and tracking every move. They moved in sync, each attack met with a counter, each defense with a new strategy. The system kept up, tracking their progress. Dual progress 67%. Stat increases, strength +1, agility +1. Naruto felt the power building, the darkness inside him growing stronger. He pushed it down, focusing on the fight, on Sasuke, on the bond they shared. Sasuke landed a hit, knocking Naruto back. "You're getting better." Naruto grinned, wiping blood from his lip. "So are you." They clashed again, the world narrowing to just the two of them. For a moment, it felt like old times, just two friends pushing each other to be better. But the system wouldn't let them forget what was at stake. Warning: gate detected, location training grounds. Threat level extreme. A new gate tore open behind them, bigger and darker than any before. Shadows poured out, monsters shrieking as they hit the ground. Naruto and Sasuke scrambled to their feet, the rivalry forgotten in the face of a new threat. Sakura arrived, breathless, eyes wide with fear. "What's happening?" Naruto glanced at Sasuke, determination burning in his eyes. "We'll finish this later." Sasuke nodded, sharing and spinning. "Let's go." Together they faced the darkness, ready for whatever came next. The gate pulsed and a monstrous figure stepped through, taller than any they'd seen, its eyes burning with malice. The air grew cold and the ground shook. Naruto felt the system's interface flicker. Boss monster detected, Monarch class entity. Objective: survive, protect the village. He looked at Sasuke and Sakura, fear and resolve warring in his chest. "We do this together." Sasuke smirked, "Wouldn't have it any other way." Sakura nodded, determination in her eyes. The three of them stood side by side as the monsters charged, ready to fight, not just for themselves but for each other and for the village they called home. And as the battle began, Naruto knew that whatever happened next, they would face it together. Chapter 10, Into the Abyss. The gate loomed over the training grounds, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to suck the light out of the world. Team 7 stood at its edge, weapons drawn, nerves stretched tight. The air was thick with tension and the metallic scent of fear. Kakashi glanced at his team, his single visible eye serious. "We go in together, watch each other's backs, no heroics." Naruto nodded, feeling the cold energy of his shadows pulsing beneath his skin. Sasuke's sharing and spun, scanning the gate's surface while Sakura checked her supplies, hands trembling just a little. Naruto caught her eye and offered a reassuring grin. "We've got this, Sakura, just like old times." She managed a shaky smile. "Yeah, just like old times." Sasuke snorted, but there was no real bite to it. "Don't slow us down, Dobi." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Wouldn't dream of it, team." Kakashi stepped forward, hand raised. "On my mark." The gate pulsed, shadows writhing. Kakashi gave the signal and they plunged in. The world twisted around them, colors bleeding into darkness. For a moment, Naruto felt like he was falling, tumbling through endless night. Then his feet hit solid ground and he staggered, catching himself. They were inside the gate. The landscape was a nightmare, twisted trees with black leaves, rivers of shadow, the sky a swirling vortex of purple and blue. The air was cold and heavy, every breath tasting of metal and ash. Monsters prowled the darkness, creatures with too many eyes, claws like knives, and mouths that stretched too wide. They watched Team 7 with hungry eyes but didn't attack, not yet. Naruto took point, shadows swirling at his feet. He could feel the system's interface flickering, tracking every movement. Quest: clear the gate, defeat the Monarch class enemy. Team bonus: increased XP gain. Kakashi moved up beside him, voice low, stay sharp, this place isn't like the others. Sasuke scanned the shadows, sharing and glowing, they're waiting for something. Sakura shivered, I don't like this. Naruto forced himself to stay calm, we stick together, no one gets left behind. They moved deeper into the gate, the monsters circling but keeping their distance. The path twisted and turned, leading them through forests of bone and rivers of black fire. The ground shifted under their feet, sometimes solid, sometimes soft as ash. A pack of shadow wolves attacked, moving as one. Naruto called his own shadows, meeting them head-on. Sasuke's lightning crackled, Sakura's punches shattered bone, and Kakashi's sharing cut through the darkness. They fought as a team, every move in sync. Naruto felt the old rhythm return, the trust, the unspoken understanding. Even with everything that had happened, they were still Team 7. The system chimed. Wave 1 cleared, plus 100 XP, stat increase, teamwork plus 1. They pressed on, the monsters growing stronger, the environment more twisted. At one point, the ground dropped away, revealing a chasm filled with writhing shadows. Naruto formed a bridge of darkness, his team crossing carefully. Sasuke eyed him, curiosity and something like respect in his gaze. You're getting better at this. Naruto grinned, guess I'm a fast learner. Sakura smiled, relief in her eyes. Thanks, Naruto. They reached a clearing, the air thick with power. At its center stood a figure, tall, cloaked in shadows, eyes burning red. The system's interface flashed. Boss detected, Monarch class enemy. Name: Kurigane, Monarch of Ruin. Kakashi stepped forward, kunai drawn. Stay back, let's see what he wants. Kurigane smiled, teeth sharp and white. So, you're the new Monarch, I've been waiting for you, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto tensed, shadows swirling, what do you want? Kurigane's gaze swept over Team 7, to see if you're worthy, to see if you can survive. He raised a hand and monsters poured from the shadows, giant spiders, armored beasts, things Naruto didn't have names for. Team 7 formation, Kakashi barked. They moved as one, Naruto called his shadows, sending them to intercept the monsters. Sasuke's lightning arced through the air, Sakura's fists shattered armor, and Kakashi moved like a ghost, striking from the shadows. Naruto found himself at the center, directing his army, protecting his friends. The system tracked every move. Team coordination, excellent, leadership plus 1. The battle was chaos, monsters shrieking, shadows clashing, the ground shaking with every blow. Naruto felt the strain, the cold energy burning through him, but he pushed on. Kurigane watched, amused. You're strong, Naruto, but are you strong enough? He stepped into the fight, moving faster than anything Naruto had ever seen. Shadows lashed out, and Naruto barely blocked in time. Their powers clashed, monarch against monarch, darkness against darkness. Naruto felt the system's interference, pushing him to go further, to use more power. Warning: power output at 85%, risk of overload. Naruto gritted his teeth, refusing to back down. I won't let you hurt my friends, I won't let you win. Kurigane laughed, a sound like breaking glass. We'll see. The battle raged, Team 7 fighting at Naruto's side. For the first time, Naruto felt like a leader, not just a teammate, but someone his friends could rely on. The system chimed. Boss battle phase 2 initiated. Kurigane unleashed a wave of darkness, knocking Team 7 back. Naruto stood his ground, shadows swirling around him. Kurigane smiled, impressive, but this is only the beginning. Naruto squared his shoulders, determination burning in his eyes. Bring it on. And as the darkness closed in, Naruto knew he wasn't alone. He had his team, his friends, and the strength to face whatever came next. Chapter 11, Monarch vs. Monarch. The world inside the gate was chaos. Monsters shrieked and shadows clashed, but at the center of it all, Naruto faced Kurigane, the Monarch of Ruin. The battlefield was a wasteland of shattered stone and swirling darkness, the air thick with the scent of ozone and fear. Kurogane stood tall, his cloak of shadows billowing, eyes burning with cold amusement. You've come far, Naruto Uzumaki, but you're not ready for this. Naruto squared his shoulders, the cold energy of his own shadows pulsing beneath his skin. I don't care if I'm ready, I'm not backing down. Kurogane's smile was sharp. Let's see what you've got. He moved first, faster than Naruto could track. A blade of darkness slashed through the air and Naruto barely dodged, rolling to his feet and calling his shadows to him. Boss battle, Monarch vs. Monarch. Level up available, use accumulated XP to boost stats, YN. Naruto didn't hesitate. Yes. The system's interface flickered. Level up, strength +2, agility +2, vitality +1. He felt the surge of power, the cold energy burning brighter. He met Kurogane's next attack head-on, shadows clashing in a burst of black and blue light. The fight was brutal. Kurogane's power was overwhelming. Every strike sent shockwaves through the ground, every block rattled Naruto's bones. But Naruto adapted, using his speed and creativity, shaping his shadows into shields, spears, and wolves. Kurogane laughed, the sound echoing. You fight like a human, hesitant, afraid to lose control. Naruto gritted his teeth, sweat pouring down his face. I'm not afraid, not of you. Kurogane's eyes narrowed. Then prove it. He unleashed a wave of darkness, swallowing the battlefield. Naruto's shadows met it, but the force was too much. His army faltered, shadows torn apart by the Monarch's power. Warning, Shadow Army at 40% capacity. Naruto pushed harder, calling every shadow he had. He remembered his friends Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi fighting somewhere behind him. He couldn't let them down. He shaped his shadows into a giant wolf, sending it at Kurogane. The Monarch met it with a blade of darkness, the two forces colliding in a burst of energy that shook the world. Naruto staggered, the strain almost too much. The system chimed. Skill unlocked, Shadow Fusion. Combine multiple shadows for increased power. He fused his remaining shadows, forming a massive warrior that towered over the battlefield. Kurogane smiled, almost approving. Not bad, Uzumaki, but is it enough? They clashed again, the ground cracking beneath their feet. Naruto felt every blow, every loss. His army was dwindling, each shadow that fell leaving him weaker. Kurogane taunted him, voice cold. You cling to your humanity, but it makes you weak. Let go and you could be unstoppable. Naruto shook his head, fighting back tears. If I let go, I'm not me anymore. Kurogane pressed the attack, driving Naruto back. The system's interface flickered, warning after warning. Vitality low, MP critical, Shadow Army at 10%. Naruto dropped to one knee, gasping for breath. Kurogane loomed over him, blade raised. Any last words, Monarch? Naruto looked up, determination burning in his eyes. Yeah, I'm not done yet. He called the last of his strength, the last of his shadows, and struck. The attack caught Kurogane off guard, driving him back. Naruto pressed the advantage, every move fueled by desperation and hope. The system chimed. Critical hit, boss HP at 5%. Kurogane staggered, shadows flickering. He smiled, almost proud. You're stronger than I thought. Naruto didn't let up. He drove his shadows forward, overwhelming the Monarch in a final, desperate assault. With a roar, Kurogane fell, dissolving into mist. The battlefield went silent. Naruto dropped to his knees, exhausted. His shadow army was gone, every last one decimated in the fight. He could barely move, every muscle screaming in pain. The system's interface flickered. Boss defeated, plus 500 XP. Shadow Army 0%. Warning, physical and mental exhaustion at critical levels. Naruto looked around, the silence pressing in. He won, but at what cost? His shadows were gone, his strength spent. He felt empty, hollow. Kurogane's voice echoed in his mind, soft and mocking. You won this time, Uzumaki, but the darkness is always waiting. Naruto closed his eyes, fighting back tears. He'd saved his friends, stopped the Monarch, but he'd lost so much. He was alone in the darkness, the weight of victory heavy on his shoulders. But even in the silence, he held on to hope. He wasn't done yet. He would rebuild, he would fight again. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and he would not let the darkness win. But the battle had been more than just a clash of power. It was a test of will, of heart, of everything Naruto had ever believed in. As he lay on the broken ground, flashes of memory flickered through his mind. Uruka's smile, Hinata's quiet support, Sasuke's rivalry, Sakura's concern, Kakashi's trust. All the bonds he'd fought so hard to build. He remembered the loneliness of his childhood, the way people had looked at him with fear and suspicion. He remembered the promise he'd made to himself to never let the darkness win, to never become the monster they feared. Kuragane's taunts echoed in his mind. You're weak because you care, you're weak because you're human. But Naruto knew better. His humanity was his strength. The pain, the hope, the stubborn refusal to give up, that was what made him who he was. The system's interface flickered again. Level up, emotional resilience +2. Skill progress, shadow regeneration 8%. Naruto forced himself to his feet, swaying. The battlefield was littered with the remnants of his shadows, fading into mist. He felt their loss like a physical wound, but he also felt something new, a spark of power, a hint of growth. He stumbled toward the edge of the battlefield, searching for his friends. Sasuke was there, battered but alive, sharing and fatting. Sakura knelt beside Kakashi, healing a deep cut on his arm. Sasuke looked up as Naruto approached, eyes sharp but not unkind. You did it. Naruto managed a tired grin. Yeah, barely. Sakura rushed over, relief flooding her face. Naruto, are you okay? He nodded, though every part of him hurt. I'll live. Kakashi gave him a thumbs up, his usual lazy smile a little more genuine. Nice work, Naruto. Naruto sank to the ground, exhaustion washing over him. The system's final message flickered before his eyes. Rest mode activated, recovery in progress. As he drifted into sleep, he felt the weight of loss and victory settle in his chest. He won, but the cost was high. His shadow army was gone, his strength spent. But he wasn't alone, not anymore. He would rebuild, he would fight again. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and his story was far from over. Chapter 12, The World Reacts. The news spread like wildfire. By the time Naruto woke up, the world had already changed. He could feel it in the air, the tension, the fear, the way people whispered in the streets. The gates weren't just a Konoha problem anymore. Word had gotten out, and now every village, every clan, every shinobi was on edge. Naruto sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the system's interface as it flickered to life. Main quest, unite or perish. Objective, survive the coming crisis. Unite the shinobi world. Reward. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the exhaustion from the last battle. His body still ached, and the loss of his shadow army weighed heavy on him, but there was no time to rest. The world was moving, and he had to keep up. He got dressed and headed out, the village buzzing with rumors. People talked in hushed voices about the gates, the monsters, the monarchs. Some looked at Naruto with awe, others with fear. He kept his head down, trying not to let it get to him. At the Hokage's office, Tsunade was already deep in conversation with Shikamaru and a handful of ANBU. Maps were spread across the desk, marked with red circles and hastily scribbled notes. Tsunade looked up as Naruto entered, her expression grim. You're here, good, we need to talk. Naruto nodded, taking a seat. Shikamaru gave him a tired nod, dark circles under his eyes. The gates are opening all over the world, Tsunade said, voice low. Not just here. Suna, Kiri, Kumo, Iwa, they're all reporting attacks. Some villages have lost entire squads, others are barely holding on. Naruto swallowed hard. What about the other cage? Tsunade sighed, they're scared, and when people are scared, they do stupid things. Shikamaru pointed to a spot on the map. Gaara's holding Suna together, but they're stretched thin. The Raikage is calling for an alliance, but the Mizukage and Tsuchikage are suspicious. No one knows who to trust. Naruto felt a knot form in his stomach. And me. Tsunade met his gaze. You're the wild card. Some see you as a hero, others not so much. Naruto looked away, the weight of it all pressing down on him. I didn't ask for any of this. Tsunade's voice softened. I know, but you're in the middle of it now. The 5-Cage Summit is being called. They want you there. Naruto's heart skipped a beat. Me, why? Because you're the only one who's fought a monarch and lived, Shikamaru said. They need answers, and they need to know if you're a threat. Naruto clenched his fists, anxiety gnawing at him. What if they decide I am? Tsunade shook her head, then we'll deal with it together. Naruto nodded, trying to steady his nerves. The system chimed again. Side quest, gain the trust of the cage. Reward. He left the office, wandering the village. Everywhere he went, people stared. Some whispered, others just watched. He saw kids playing ninja, pretending to fight monsters, shouting about gates and shadows. He saw old friends, Kiba, Shino, Ino, each one giving him a look that was part respect, part fear. He found Sakura at the hospital, tending to the wounded. She smiled when she saw him, but there was worry in her eyes. Are you okay? She asked, voice soft. Naruto shrugged, I guess just a lot on my mind. She squeezed his hand. You're not alone, you know. Naruto managed to smile. Thanks, Sakura. He left the hospital feeling a little lighter, but the anxiety lingered. He made his way to the training grounds, hopping to clear his head. Sasuke was there, as always, practicing with his sword. Sasuke glanced at him, eyes sharp. You ready for this? Naruto nodded. I have to be. Sasuke smirked. Don't let them push you around. Naruto grinned. Wouldn't dream of it. They trained together for a while, the old rhythm returning. For a moment, it felt like things might be okay. But the world was changing, and Naruto could feel it. Far from Konoha in the hidden village of Suna, Gaara stood atop the walls, watching as his shinobi fought off another wave of monsters. His sand moved with deadly precision, crushing anything that got too close. A messenger arrived, breathless. The cage summit is being called. They want you in the land of iron. Gaara nodded, eyes never leaving the battlefield. Tell them I'll be there. In Kumo, the Raikage slammed his fist on the table, sending papers flying. We need to act. If we don't unite, we're finished. The Mizukage and Tsuchikage argued, each blaming the other for the crisis. Old grudges flared, and trust was in short supply. But the gates kept opening, and the monsters kept coming. Back in Konoha, Naruto prepared for the journey to the land of iron. He packed his gear, checked his weapons, and tried to calm his nerves. The system's interface flickered. Main quest: Unite or Perish. Progress 18%. He met with Tsunade one last time before leaving. She handed him a scroll, her expression serious. Read this if things go bad, she said, and remember, you're not just representing Konoha, you're representing hope. Naruto nodded, tucking the scroll into his jacket. I won't let you down. As he left the village, he was joined by Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke. They traveled in silence, the weight of what was coming hanging over them. The land of iron was cold and snowy, the summit held in a fortress of steel and stone. The cage arrived one by one, each surrounded by guards and advisors. Naruto felt their eyes on him as he entered the hall. Some were curious, others wary. Gaara gave him a nod, the Raikage a hard stare. The Mizukage and Tsuchikage whispered to each other, glancing his way. The meeting began, tension thick in the air. The cage argued, voices rising, old wounds reopening. Naruto sat quietly, anxiety gnawing at him. Finally, Tsunade spoke. We're here to find a solution. The gates are a threat to all of us. We need to work together. The Raikage slammed his fist on the table. And what about him? He pointed at Naruto. He's got the same power as the Monarchs. How do we know he's not a threat? Naruto stood, heart pounding. I'm not your enemy. I'm fighting for the same thing you are. I want to protect my village. I want to protect all of you. The room fell silent. For a moment no one spoke. Then Gaara stood, his voice calm. I trust Naruto. He saved my life more than once. If anyone can help us, it's him. The Mizukage and Tsuchikage exchanged glances, uncertainty in their eyes. The system chimed. Quest update: gain the trust of the cage. Progress 40%. Naruto took a deep breath, meeting each cage's gaze. I don't have all the answers, but I'm not giving up. Not on my friends, not on my village, not on any of you. The summit continued, arguments flaring and fatting, alliances forming and breaking. Naruto did his best to answer questions, to reassure, to promise that he would fight for all of them. As the meeting ended, the cage agreed reluctantly to work together, but the tension lingered, and Naruto knew the real battle was just beginning. He left the hall, the system's interface flickering. Main quest: Unite or Perish. Progress 60%. New objective: prepare for the next gate. Naruto stood in the snow, watching the sun set over the mountains. He felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, but also a spark of hope. He wasn't alone, not anymore. And as the wind howled through the land of iron, Naruto knew he was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 13: Shadows of War. The cage summit was supposed to be a place of unity, a last stand against the chaos threatening the world. But as the sun rose over the land of iron, the fortress that held the world's leaders became a battlefield. It started with a tremor, a low, rumbling quake that rattled the steel walls and sent a shiver through the assembled shinobi. Naruto was in the main hall, standing beside Tsunade and Gaara, when the system's interface flickered to life. Warning: multiple gates detected. Threat level catastrophic. Objective: defend the cage, rally the alliance. Before anyone could react, the sky outside split open. Black gates tore through the clouds, spilling monsters and shadowy figures onto the snow-covered ground. The guards shouted, scrambling to form a perimeter, but the enemy was everywhere: giant beasts, twisted humanoids, and at their center, monarchs cloaked in darkness. The summit erupted into chaos. The Raikage barked orders, his fists crackling with lightning. The Mizukage unleashed torrents of water, freezing them into spears. Gaara's sand rose in a protective wall, shielding the wounded. Naruto's heart pounded. He could feel the cold energy of his shadows, the system's army mechanics humming beneath his skin. Army command available. Summon shadow forces, YN. He didn't hesitate. Yes. Shadows erupted from the ground, swirling into warriors, wolves, and beasts. Naruto directed them with a thought, sending them to reinforce the shinobi lines, to protect the cage, to hold back the tide. Sasuke appeared at his side, sharing and spinning. You ready for this? Naruto grinned, adrenaline surging. Let's show them what we've got. They fought back to back, Naruto's shadows and Sasuke's lightning tearing through the enemy ranks. Sakura joined them, her fists shattering monsters, her voice rallying the wounded. The battle was chaos, explosions, screams, the clash of steel and shadow. Naruto moved through it all, a beacon of hope and power. He called out orders, his voice cutting through the noise. Hold the line, protect the cage, don't let them through. The system tracked every move. Army morale high, leadership +2, stat increase, charisma +1. Naruto saw Gaara's sand falter as a monarch broke through, a hulking brute with a mace of black iron. Naruto sent a wave of shadows to intercept, buying Gaara time to recover. Thanks, Gaara called, his voice steady. Naruto nodded, pushing forward. He saw the Raikage surrounded, lightning flickering as he fought off 3 monsters at once. Naruto's shadows swarmed in, tipping the balance. The Mizukage and Tsuchikage fought side by side, old grudges forgotten in the face of a common enemy. Naruto felt a surge of pride. This was what he'd hoped for, what he'd fought for. But the enemy was relentless. The monarchs moved with purpose, targeting the cage, trying to break the alliance before it could truly form. One of the monarchs, a woman with eyes like burning coals, locked eyes with Naruto. She smiled, cold and cruel. You're the new monarch, let's see if you're worthy. She attacked, shadows lashing out. Naruto met her head-on, his own shadows clashing with hers in a storm of darkness. The system chimed. Duel initiated, Monarch of Despair. Objective: survive, protect the alliance. Naruto fought with everything he had, drawing on every lesson, every bond. He remembered Uruka's kindness, Hinata's faith, Sasuke's rivalry, Sakura's friendship. He let those memories fuel him, pushing back the darkness. The monarch taunted him, her voice a whisper in his mind. You're weak because you care, you'll lose because you hesitate. Naruto gritted his teeth. You're wrong, my friends make me strong. He pressed the attack, his shadows moving in perfect sync with the shinobi around him. The system's army mechanics kicked in, allowing him to coordinate dozens of fighters at once. Army coordination excellent, stat increase, strategy +1. The tide began to turn. The alliance rallied, inspired by Naruto's example. Even the most jaded shinobi found themselves fighting harder, pushing back against the darkness. Sasuke fought at Naruto's side, their old rivalry transformed into something new: trust, respect, a bond forged in battle. You're not bad at this, Dobi, Sasuke muttered, a rare smile on his lips. Naruto laughed even as he dodged a monster's claws. You're not so bad yourself, team. Sakura joined them, her chakra glowing as she healed the wounded and fought off attackers. Don't get cocky, you two, we're not done yet. The 3 of them stood together, a symbol of hope in the chaos. The Monarch of Despair pressed her attack, but Naruto refused to back down. He called on the last of his strength, the last of his shadows, and struck. The system chimed. Critical hit, enemy Monarch at 10% HP. The Monarch staggered, her shadows faltering. She glared at Naruto, hatred burning in her eyes. This isn't over, she hissed, retreating into the darkness. The remaining monsters faltered, the alliance pressing the advantage. Naruto rallied the shinobi, his voice ringing out. Don't let up, we can do this. The enemy broke, fleeing back through the gates. The battlefield fell silent, the snow stained with blood and shadow. Naruto stood at the center, breathing hard, his friends at his side. The system's interface flickered. Quest complete, rally the alliance, +500 XP, stat increase, leadership +2. New quest, prepare for the final battle. The cage gathered, battered but alive. Gaara nodded to Naruto, respect in his eyes. The Raikage clapped him on the shoulder, a rare smile breaking through his usual scowl. You did good, kid, the Raikage said. Naruto grinned, exhaustion and pride warring in his chest. We all did. As the sun set over the land of iron, the alliance stood united. The world had changed, but for the first time, Naruto felt hope. He looked at his friends, at the shinobi who had fought beside him, and knew they were ready for whatever came next. The war wasn't over, but they would face it together. Chapter 14, The Monarch's Choice. The world was on the edge of collapse. The sky above the land of iron was split by a rift of swirling black and violet, the final gate yawning wide. Shadows poured from it, flooding the battlefield, and at the heart of the chaos stood the last enemy monarch, a figure taller than any human, draped in a cloak of living darkness, eyes burning with cold, ancient malice. Naruto stood at the front lines, battered and bruised, his friends and allies behind him. The system's interface flickered, warning after warning scrolling past his vision. Final threat detected, Monarch of the End. Objective: prevent the merging of worlds, save reality. The Monarch's voice echoed across the battlefield, deep and resonant, carrying a weight that pressed on every heart. You have fought well, little shinobi, but it ends here. The shadow world and your reality will become one. All will kneel to the darkness. Naruto clenched his fists, feeling the cold energy of his shadows, the ache of every wound, the hope and fear of everyone counting on him. He looked back, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Gaara, the cage, the Shinobi Alliance, all battered, all watching him. He stepped forward, voice steady, I'm not letting that happen. The monarch smiled, a cruel twist of shadow. You can't stop it, the gate is open, the worlds are merging, you are out of time. The system chimed, a new message flashing in Naruto's mind. System alert, catastrophic event in progress. Choice required, accept ultimate power and become the Shadow King, or retain humanity and risk failure. Warning, choice is irreversible. Naruto's heart pounded. He could feel the power, the promise of strength beyond anything he'd ever known, just within reach. But he also felt the cost, the cold emptiness that would swallow everything he was. The monarch advanced, shadows swirling. Join me, Naruto Uzumaki, take your place as king, rule the new world at my side. Naruto hesitated, the temptation real and raw. He saw flashes of what could be unmatched power, the ability to protect everyone, to never be weak or alone again. But then the memories came, Uruka's smile, Hinata's quiet courage, Sasuke's rivalry, Sakura's friendship, Kakashi's trust. The laughter of friends, the warmth of ramen, the simple joy of being seen, being loved. He remembered the pain of loneliness, the years spent as an outcast, the promise he'd made to himself, to never lose who he was, no matter what. The monarch's voice pressed in, seductive and cold. You can save them all you have to do is let go. Naruto shook his head, tears burning in his eyes. If I let go, I'm not me anymore. I'd rather die as Naruto Uzumaki than live as a monster. The monarch's eyes narrowed, then you will die. The final battle erupted. Shadows clashed, the ground shaking with every blow. Naruto fought with everything he had, every lesson, every bond, every ounce of hope. The system tracked his every move. Level up, strength +2, willpower +3, leadership +2. Warning, physical and mental limits exceeded. The monarch unleashed a wave of darkness, swallowing the battlefield. Naruto's shadows faltered, his strength waning. He saw his friends fighting, struggling, refusing to give up. The system chimed again. Emergency protocol, sacrifice humanity to access ultimate power, YN. Naruto hesitated, the choice tearing at him. He saw visions, what he could become, what he could lose. He closed his eyes, reaching deep inside, searching for the answer. Flashbacks flickered, Uruka's words, you're not alone. Hinata's voice, I believe in you. Sasuke's challenge, don't let it eat you alive. Sakura's plea, come back to us. Naruto opened his eyes, resolve burning. I won't let you win, I won't let the darkness take everything. He turned to his friends, shouting over the chaos. No matter what happens, remember me, remember who I was. He faced the monarch, voice steady. I choose my humanity. The system's interface glowed, brighter than ever. Choice confirmed, humanity retained, sacrificing all shadow power to seal the gate. Warning, irreversible, proceed, YN. Naruto nodded, do it. Power surged through him, not cold and empty, but warm and bright, the strength of every bond, every hope, every dream. He poured it into the gate, into the world, into the light. The monarch screamed, shadows writhing as the gate began to close. Naruto felt his power slipping away, the shadows fading, but he held on, refusing to let go. The world shook, the darkness receding. The monarch lashed out one last time, but Naruto stood firm, the light of his humanity burning brighter than any shadow. With a final roar, the gate snapped shut. The monarch vanished, the shadows dissolving into nothing. Naruto collapsed, the world spinning. He heard voices, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi calling his name, but they sounded far away. The system's final message flickered before his eyes. Quest complete, save reality, sacrifice accepted. Shadow Monarch power sealed, humanity restored. Thank you, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto smiled, tears streaming down his face. He'd done it, he'd saved them all. As darkness claimed him, he held on to one last thought, a promise to himself, to his friends, to the world. He would never let the darkness win. But the moment before the end stretched on, and in that space Naruto's mind wandered. He found himself standing in a field of memories, sunlight, laughter, the faces of everyone he'd ever loved or fought for. He saw Uruka, arms crossed, smiling with pride. He saw Hinata, her eyes shining with hope. He saw Sasuke, not as a rival but as a brother. Sakura, strong and kind, reaching out a hand. He heard the voices of the village, the people who had once feared him, now calling his name with gratitude and awe. He felt the warmth of their acceptance, the weight of their trust. The monarch's voice echoed, softer now, almost sad. You could have ruled, you could have had everything. Naruto shook his head, smiling through the tears. I already have everything I need. The system's interface flickered, showing him a final choice. Legacy, leave a mark on the world, YN. Naruto thought of the next generation, kids who would grow up in a world without fear, without darkness. He thought of the friends he'd made, the bonds he'd forged. He pressed yes. A wave of light swept through the world, washing away the last traces of shadow. The sky cleared, the sun rising over a new day. Naruto felt himself fading, but he wasn't afraid. He'd made his choice, he'd kept his promise. He whispered a final goodbye, knowing he would live on in the hearts of those he'd saved. And as the world moved on, the legend of Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who chose hope over power, love over fear, would never be forgotten. Chapter 15, Dawn of a New Era. Naruto woke slowly, the world coming back into focus like a sunrise after a long night. He was lying in a hospital bed, the familiar scent of antiseptic filling the air. Sunlight streamed through the window, warm and bright. He sat up, every muscle protesting, but the bone-deep exhaustion from the battle was gone. He looked down at his hands. The black marks were still there, faint lines against his skin, a permanent reminder of the power he once held, but the cold, restless energy was gone. The system's interface was silent, the Shadow Monarch's power sealed away, sacrificed to close the final gate. He felt normal, mostly. There was an echo, a faint resonance where the shadows used to be, like a phantom limb. He could still sense the darkness in the world, the lingering traces of the gates, but it no longer called to him, no longer threatened to consume him. He was just Naruto again, albeit a Naruto who had touched the abyss and returned. Sakura was asleep in a chair beside his bed, head resting on her arms, her usual neatness slightly ruffled by exhaustion. Sasuke leaned against the wall, eyes closed, but his posture was alert, ever watchful. Kakashi sat by the window, reading his book, though his gaze kept flicking toward Naruto, a subtle relief in his visible eye. Naruto smiled, a real smile this time, reaching deep into his chest. Hey guys. Sakura's head snapped up, eyes wide, then flooding with relief. Naruto, you're awake. She rushed over, checking his pulse, fussing over him with a practiced efficiency that couldn't quite hide her trembling hands. How are you feeling? Does anything hurt? Don't try to move too fast. Sasuke opened his eyes, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk touching his lips. Took you long enough, Dobi. Some of us were getting bored. Kakashi closed his book with a soft snap. Welcome back, Naruto. You gave us quite a scare. Naruto looked around, taking in the familiar faces, the concern, the relief. What happened after the gate closed? You saved us, Kakashi said, his voice quiet but firm. You sealed the gate, stopped the monarch. The world is safe, thanks to you. The remaining gates across the world destabilized and closed shortly after. Naruto felt a wave of relief wash over him, so profound it almost brought tears to his eyes. They're all gone, really. Sakura nodded, her own eyes glistening. They started closing right after you did what you did all over the world. It's over, Naruto. The fighting, the monsters, it's finally over. He leaned back against the pillows, letting the words sink in. Over, the weight of the world, the constant threat, the fear, it lifted, leaving him feeling strangely light, almost adrift. He looked at his friends, gratitude swelling in his chest. I couldn't have done it without you guys, seriously. Sasuke shrugged, looking away, but not before Naruto caught the flicker of warmth in his eyes. We're a team, remember, we don't leave anyone behind. Sakura smiled, wiping a tear from her cheek. Always we were so worried. Kakashi ruffled Naruto's hair, a rare gesture of open affection. Get some rest, you've earned it. The world can wait a little longer for its hero. Naruto spent the next few days recovering, his room becoming a revolving door of visitors. Hinata came every day, bringing flowers and shy smiles, her quiet presence a source of unexpected comfort. Uruka visited, telling stories of Naruto's academy days, his eyes shining with pride. Even Tsunade stopped in, giving him a gruff nod and a rare, genuine smile before demanding a full report once he was back on his feet. The village slowly returned to a semblance of normal, but things were irrevocably different. The scars remained, buildings destroyed, lives lost, but there was also a new sense of unity, of shared purpose. People looked at Naruto differently now. The fear was gone, replaced by respect, gratitude, and a quiet awe. He was still Naruto, the loudmouthed kid who loved ramen, but he was also something more. Hero, a legend, the boy who had faced the abyss and chosen humanity. He walked through the rebuilt market district, the sun warm on his face. Kids waved, shouting his name. Shopkeepers offered free meals, pressing snacks into his hands. Shinobi, young and old, nodded in respect as he passed. He wasn't an outcast anymore, he belonged. The loneliness that had haunted his childhood felt like a distant memory. He met Sasuke at the training grounds, the place where their rivalry had burned brightest, where the last gate had torn open. They sparred, not with the anger and desperation of their previous encounters, but with the easy camaraderie of brothers in arms, pushing each other, learning from each other. You're still holding back, Sasuke teased, dodging Naruto's punch with effortless grace. Naruto grinned, just saving some for later, wouldn't want to show you up too badly. They sat by the river afterward, watching the water flow, the silence comfortable between them. Things are different now, Sasuke said quietly, looking out at the horizon. The world, it feels bigger and smaller somehow. Naruto nodded. Yeah, we face something huge together, changes things. He hesitated, then added, you changed too, Sasuke. Sasuke glanced at him, a flicker of surprise in his eyes before nodding slowly. Maybe we all did. He found Sakura at the hospital, her smile brighter than ever as she directed the final stages of recovery efforts. You look happy, he observed. She nodded, pushing a stray strand of pink hair behind her ear. We have a future now, a real one, thanks to you, Naruto, thanks to all of us. He met Hinata at the playground, the place where she'd first offered him hope when he felt most alone. They sat on the swings, talking easily, the old awkwardness replaced by a gentle understanding. Thank you, Naruto, she whispered, her hand brushing his, sending a jolt of warmth through him that had nothing to do with shadows, for not giving up. He smiled, meeting her gaze. Thank you, Hinata, for believing in me. As the weeks turned into months, the world adapted. The gates were gone, the monarchs defeated, but the memory remained. The Shinobi Alliance held strong, forged in the crucible of war, working together to rebuild and heal, sharing knowledge and resources. The world felt more connected, more fragile, but also more resilient. Naruto found himself at the center of it all, not as a monarch wielding ultimate power, but as a leader, a symbol of hope and unity. He trained, went on missions, helped rebuild the village, his boundless energy now channeled into healing rather than fighting. The system was gone, the shadows sealed, but the strength he'd found, the strength of his bonds, his hope, his unwavering humanity, remained burning brighter than ever. One morning, he stood on the Hokage monument, watching the sunrise paint the sky in streaks of orange and gold. The village spread out below him, peaceful and vibrant, bustling with life. He felt a presence beside him, not the cold darkness of the monarch, but something familiar, something warm. Shadows flickered at his feet, faint and translucent, not menacing but gentle, like old friends saying hello. He smiled. Maybe a part of the power remained, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of the journey, the sacrifice, the choice he'd made. A legacy etched not just in history books, but in the very fabric of his being. Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Hinata, they joined him one by one, standing beside him, their presence a comforting weight. They didn't speak, just watched the dawn break over the village they had saved together. Naruto looked at his friends, at the village he loved, at the future stretching out before them, full of possibility. He wasn't just Naruto Uzumaki, the outcast, the Jinchuriki, the temporary monarch. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the hero, the friend, the leader, the boy who chose hope over power, love over fear, humanity over darkness. He smiled, the sun warm on his face, hope burning bright and steady in his chest. His story wasn't over, it was just beginning.